Well, my friends, after over 3 long years of going back and forth in the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group, watching the trial for the last month, finally it's here. It took them 7 hours and 30 minutes to decide. Now, I have to apologize. I thought I made it clear in the live this morning. I didn't make it clear that when I put the stream up, it was for when the verdict is read. So we had a couple of people in there saying, I expected more of you, Brooks. This is clickbait. This is clickbait. Now, come on. Do you really think that I'm going to know before the news that there's a verdict? Do you think I'm really going to know before Al and Landon that there's a verdict? No. Some people are not internet friendly. They don't get it. So, I did a poll, and 97% of you guys, of my friends, said guilty on all counts. Lisa said, of course, Brooks. P said, I called it. Yeah, someone named Pamela was like, this is clickbait. This is clickbait. So do you really think it's clickbait when I'm not even live and everyone's just sitting in here chatting in a stream that hasn't even started yet? I can't help simpletons. I just can't. What to do? What to do? It's not even live. People are just in there chatting. It clearly said in the description, time to be determined. waiting on the waiting on the guilty verdict, waiting on the verdict. This is clickbait. No, clickbait would be me going live saying that they have a verdict, and I just sit there and string people along for 2 days or 2 weeks. Pointer Lever said another body was found with the Oklahoma case in the pond. I know. There's a lot going on in the true crime kitchen. We're going to get to that tomorrow morning. Thank you, Cat's Life. How did you figure that out? Because I couldn't find the iPhone link or whatever it's called. Wolfcat said you can't fix stupid. Nope. Goodness, people are just chatting back and forth, not even live. Trev Tom said, Brooks, you could give some people $1 million and they'd ask why not $1 billion. Yeah. Give an inch, they take a mile. Tell you what. My goodness. The most important thing right now is not the 2 idiots that can't read. This is a huge day. And it's going to set a huge precedent. Because if you claim crazy, you can get away with the unthinkable. And what Letitia has done is the unthinkable. It is the unthinkable. You are so upset with Al, with Landon, and truth be known, with your own damn self, that you would erupt, lose your temper beyond all realms of imagination, and you take it out on your 11-year-old stepson. I don't understand it. I never will. I'm human. I get losing your temper with children. I do. You ever had a 2-year-old tell you what they want for dinner? And when you're like, no, we're not going to have a dinosaur for dinner. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Then I won't eat. Then I won't eat. Of course, you're going to lose your temper. You're like, you've got to be kidding me. We're talking about someone that was so obsessed with herself that she had no self-realization. She looked at herself as a celebrity. That's how she looked at herself. She deserved better. She deserved more. So as she's going through her searches, her psyche comes out. People someday are going to treat you different. Well, you got that right, bitch, because we are treating you different. Because you know what you are? You're a heinous killer. You're a heinous killer. You can't even pick on someone your own size. You went after an 11-year-old boy because you want to be a Kardashian. You want Al to give you the pipe more often. He didn't look at you that way. You get on your search engine, you get on the Google, and you say, find a man with no kids. Make my husband notice me more. Will the stepmother send me something for Valentine's Day since I take care of her kids? Uh-huh. Yeah. Military singles. Yeah, she's something else. And I guarantee she bought that master's degree and that doctorate's degree. God only knows how much it put Al in debt. Who knows? Jakey5, thank you for the super sticker. She says, thanks for everything you've done for this case for us for Gannon. No, thank you. Thank you. Because you guys have hung in here through this entire trial. You didn't miss a day. You didn't miss a beat. Even when OJ shut down the stream, even when I took the laptop to the hotel and messed it up, I mean, the whole 9 yards when I was sitting here crying, I mean, all of it. You guys did not miss a beat. Nothing. You know, we've been talking about this case for years. And now here we are. Here we are. We have 5 minutes and 8 seconds is what it says. Whew. I wonder for the last 7 hours, not the last 7 hours, what was what was the problem? What could they not come to grips with? Because I'm going to tell you something right now. There's some bad juries out there, but I don't think it's so much that the jury is bad. I think they're given bad instructions. You see, they're not judges, they're not lawyers. And so when they're handed instructions, that's what they have to go off of. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. You know what? I can't even guess, to be quite honest, because I can't read people's minds. I can't see in the future. If I could see in the future, shit for me would be a lot different, right? It would damn sure be different for all the kids that we talk about on this channel. Linda says 98 out of 100 of us. Ooh, give me a second. I have to unpin a message real quick. Stupid, stupid, stupid of me. Give me a second. It might get loud. Okay, I had to unpin the message that said this is just a placeholder or however I said it. Good grandma said, so did the judge say 30 minutes? I don't know. It's on Twitter. You know, I believe everything I hear on the internet. And it's on Law and Crime. They said that they have come back with a verdict. We have 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Thank you, Criminal Mind. Thank you. Kevin B made it back in. What's up, Kevin? Here we are, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. I know, Dina, my nerves. You know, when they come back and they just say she's guilty on all of it, is it going to make us feel any better? Because what Gannon went through is just horrific. Horrific. Thank you, Chloe. Chloe says, Brooks, thank you for being here through all of this. I'm so nervous. I love you. I love you too. Jules says Court TV has commercials. Jules is bitching up a storm. You know what, Selma, thank you for that. You're so right. It was a difficult case from a juror's perspective, a lot of moving parts, and the jurors probably didn't follow this like we did. Well, you know what? They can't because, they don't have any beer to get them through the day. And they can't take notes. So they have to rely on muscle memory and then go through the transcripts. I don't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. You know, so I come to today, that's a lot of information to absorb. You know, that's a lot. It's a lot. Now it says 3 minutes. Uh-oh. They upped the clock. Tiffany said, "I forgot they had to listen to this bitch sober." Thank you, Tiffany. Love you, girlfriend. What's up, Cat? You know what? And the jury went through hell. Al went through hell. Landon went through hell. Lena went through hell. Harley went through hell. Crazy Aunt Brenda went through hell. Dakota went through hell. The people at Budget went through hell. So many people were affected, law enforcement, but the one that had it the absolute worst and can't come back from any of this is Gannon. Burnt, drugged, stabbed, shot, beat, ridiculed, given enemas for no reason, too much Miralax so he would poop his pants at Garden of the Gods. Everybody she ever talked to in this entire situation, she tells them, oh, he gets bad constipation. What does that have to do with anything? Give him prune juice and move along. Why do you have to bring it up? She found one thing on him and just kept on and kept on. Tamara says, abused then killed. Yeah. Dina said she had to keep bringing it up. She couldn't stop. Okay, we're to the under the minute mark. And she made sure to do it when Al wasn't home. And when people say, well, of course Gannon told his father, that is not how it works with kids because they don't want to get in trouble. When someone says, well, you know when a kid is acting different. They always act different. They're up, they're down, they're anxious, they want to sleep in, they don't want to go to bed, they don't want to brush their teeth. They don't want to eat one night, the next night they want to. I mean, we know how kids are. All right, 5 seconds. Just let's all hang in there together, guys. I don't want any, we're not going to argue or anything. We're going to be right here for each other. They added 10 minutes, my ass, for what? I'm holding your hand, Annie. They could be waiting on the family, that's for sure. Let me see what's going on. Let's look at the press conference from when they announced her arrest.
Thank you for coming today. We thank you for your patience as we work diligently to piece together what led to Gannon's disappearance. Our speakers today will be Sheriff Bill Elder, Lieutenant Mitch Mahalko, FBI Denver Division Special Agent in Charge, Dean Phillips, District Attorney Dan May, and Senior Deputy District Attorney Michael Allen.
Today marks 5 weeks since the investigation into the disappearance of Gannon Stout. We're holding the press conference to update you on some significant developments. While we've yet to locate Gannon, this morning, just after 8:00 a.m. East Coast time, Letitia Stout was taken into custody in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina without incident by law enforcement officers from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Denver and Columbia divisions of the FBI, the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina Police Department, the Horry County, South Carolina Police Department, and Sheriff's Office. Letitia will be held without bond in the J. Reuben Long Detention Center in Horry County, South Carolina, where she will remain until she's extradited back to Colorado Springs on the following charges. Charge 1, murder in the first degree of a child under 12 years of age by a person in a position of trust. Child abuse resulting in death. Tampering with a deceased human body, and tampering with physical evidence. I cannot stress enough what a difficult time this has been for Gannon's family. Like Jackie said, they've provided a written statement, but they will not, and they won't be providing any interviews at this time, and I ask that you protect their privacy. This has been a rapidly developing and highly complex investigation, and it underscores the importance of teamwork in the law enforcement agents in our community. While our hope is always that tragic cases like this never happen, it is precisely why the extremely close relationships we enjoy with our local, state, and national law enforcement partners becomes the most important. The list of people from around the country that have worked many, many long hours and invested themselves so deeply and is long and impressive. I offer my sincere thanks to each and every one of you for all that you've done in the investigative efforts so far. The safety of the citizens of this community is the top priority to all of us standing before you today. We'd like to thank the thousands of members of this community for your compassion, your kindness, and your thoughtfulness, your generosity, and your support while we've taken on the tireless search efforts over the past 5 weeks. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office, all of the investigators, the staff, the volunteers involved in this investigation from all over the United States, we'd like to express our deepest sympathies to Gannon's family and friends. There is no way to express the depth of our sympathy, and our hearts break for you. But I make this promise: this team will continue its work. These partners will remain steadfast and diligent until the conclusion and final prosecution of this case. We will not stop, and this investigation has only begun. Letitia's arrest photograph will be made available to the media as soon as we can following the press conference. Jackie will have the details. And now I will turn the microphone over to Lieutenant Mitch Mahalko.
Good afternoon. We will not be going into detail about the information in the investigation which ultimately resulted in the arrest of Letitia. But I can tell you that this has been a methodical and time-consuming multi-state operation with investigators working nearly around the clock to find Gannon. There have been thousands of hours of investigation and search efforts. This includes large-scale searches, in addition to small, specific searches with drones, horses, canines, and other resources. While we have not yet found Gannon, information has been developed that is helping us narrow our search. As you can see from the arrest, sadly, we do not believe Gannon is alive. Our work is only just beginning, and you will continue to see many law enforcement officials in El Paso County over the coming weeks and possibly months as we continue our relentless pursuit of justice for Gannon and his family. On behalf of the investigators and staff involved in this investigation, we would like to express our deepest sympathies to the family and the friends of Gannon. The death of a child is something no parent should ever have to endure. This case has not just been an investigation for us. This case has become very personal and will forever remain in our hearts. We will continue to work closely with the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office, the FBI, and other partners to the conclusion of this investigation. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to FBI Denver Division Special Agent in Charge, Dean Phillips.
Thank you for being here today. On behalf of the men and women of the FBI, all the special agents, investigative analysts, support staff, and our task force officers, we express our deepest condolences to the family, the friends, and the loved ones of Gannon Staunch. To the press, I also ask that you give the family space and time in order to process the information that they're dealing with now. To the community, thank you for your patience and understanding, for your assistance, and for the support you provided to the law enforcement community as we have worked through this investigation. The law enforcement community, I want to recognize in particular the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, Colorado Springs Police Department, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, our partners, our task force partners in Pueblo, the Pueblo PD, Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, and the Colorado State Patrol. All of these agencies have worked tirelessly and seamlessly together throughout this investigation. Although this is not the outcome for which we had hoped, we continue to work this aggressively, and we will continue to work it through to the end. As far as the FBI is concerned, we brought significant resources to bear to include agents, special agents, investigative analysts, technical support, evidence response teams, and behavioral analysis unit support. But we are not done. We will be here with our partners to the end. We will continue to help law enforcement and the prosecutors see this to the very end. And know this, when it comes to the loss of a child, the FBI will always bring all available and logical resources to bear to help our law enforcement partners when called. We will answer the call. To the community, I want to tell you that at this point, all the evidence points to Gannon's disappearance being the result of foul play. But we have no reason to believe that there is any information or intelligence indicating a threat to other children in the community. Thank you very much.
This is not the outcome that anybody here wanted. We wish today, as we were standing here, that we had little Gannon with us to be able to present to our community still alive and doing well. Unfortunately, that's not the situation. As you've heard, an arrest warrant was issued for first-degree murder of Gannon in this case. Unfortunately, we've had to get to know the family now as part of our prosecution family, and they'll be with us for the next many months going forward. It's an unfortunate thing that we are here today. I do want to thank all those who've been involved. The FBI has been amazing. John Cronin, who's the special agent in charge here in Colorado Springs, has spent literally his team 24/7 for weeks across this country. We could not have done this without their support. Bill Elder's team has been fabulous in terms of their work, working tirelessly again 24/7 for many weeks, hoping we would find Gannon. Unfortunately, we are not. Colorado Springs Police Department, Kevin Clark came over, and it's been amazing the work that he has done, which I understand he may even get a special recognition from the FBI in terms of what he's done on this case. My lead prosecutor on this case has been Michael Allen. He will continue to be the lead prosecutor throughout this case. And with that, I'd like to introduce him to fill you in on some of the things we expect going forward.
I want to let everybody know that the affidavit in this case supporting the arrest warrant remains sealed. We do understand why this case has drawn the attention it has from across our community and also across our country. Well, we want to do everything we can to make sure we achieve justice for Gannon. So we're not going to talk about the facts of the case going forward. We want to make sure that we protect these criminal proceedings. Anytime a child goes missing, it's natural for people to want to help out. And we encourage people, if you have credible tips, to still report those tips to the sheriff's department. We are going to continue this investigation. And really, it's a two-pronged investigation at this point, or process, I should say. One, we still want to bring Gannon home so that he can have a proper burial and his family can achieve the closure that they need. But we also want to hold the person that we are charging, Letitia Stout, accountable for what she did in this case. She has been arrested on the following charges: murder in the first degree, child under 12 by a person in a position of trust. That is a Class 1 felony and carries a potential penalty of life in prison without parole. The other charges are child abuse resulting in death, tampering with a deceased body, and tampering with physical evidence. The extradition process is where we are now. We will proceed until we get Letitia back here to face formal filing of charges, which will be sometime in the coming days. We do have a team of folks in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now, 2 prosecutors from our office, FBI agents, and members of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. They're collecting evidence even in South Carolina as we speak, and that will continue until they exhaust that effort. I do want to add too that all defendants, Letitia included, are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That will be the case. It's our burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. We are confident that we'll be able to do that. But because we have that burden and we want to protect these proceedings, we won't be commenting again on the facts of this case. Thank you very much.
Really am not in the correct mindset to be even standing up here, but if I had to say one thing, that when he said Gannon is no longer with us, I'd have to say Gannon is with us. After the stories of people from all over the world, he's not only my hero now, he's the world's hero. So I thank the community, the positive support from a state that I've never visited other than 2 or 3 times. I'm astounded by the amount of love that's not come from me. It's came from my boy. And never thought I'd be standing here. It's a nightmare. I've had to put trust in the people I don't know. Today, I got the worst news and the best news. Obviously, we know what the worst news is, but the best news is that justice will be served. And I'll make sure that justice is served because my boy did not deserve any of this that has happened to him. So I urge media one more time just to hold off on questions until we know that this person, the stepmom that I even trusted, that she will pay 100% for this heinous thing she done. And I know that that's going to will be done. So I ask you guys, I beg and plead, if you've known, or if you see this story, all of you have seen this story, please hold that very close to you. Because I want to live this earth knowing that justice was served for my boy. And I know that you've seen pictures, you've seen stories, you've seen my little man. He is truly my hero. And I'm gladly giving that to you guys too, that he can be your hero. I've heard stories of people that have not prayed in years, that have finally fell on their knees to pray. And I know where my son's at, without a shadow of doubt. So many families have been brought closer together because of this. I know my boy is special, and I've told my people and my family and friends that Gannon has a testimony, that Gannon has a story. He's special. And this is his story. So make that story magnificent, who my child is. And I'm putting my trust into you guys to do that. So thank you for allowing Gannon to be your hero and sharing him with us.
So now I'm going to read a statement from Al, Gannon's dad. In a moment on September 29, 2008, my heart stopped as my baby boy entered this world way too early, weighing only 1 pound, 6 ounces. His infectious smile and constant laughter made an impact on every single person he's ever met. Although I miss the years when he was learning to walk, learning to talk, and he had welcomed his little sissy home from the hospital, I've been looking forward to his teenage years and the fun we had ahead of us as he became a young man. In a moment, on March 2nd, 2020, my heart stopped again with what we have heard up to this point. My little boy is not coming home. We will never play Nintendo again. No more Taco Tuesdays. No more smooth-looking haircuts. No more Big Bubba for Mylena, and no more G-Man for the world. The person who committed this heinous, horrible crime is one that I gave more to anyone else on this planet, and that is a burden that I will carry with me for a very long time. But the God I believe in is the owner and decider of justice and vengeance. Only he can repay. Although I am selfish and want my baby boy here now and forever, how can I question God for bringing Gannon home to him?
Which one?
They're not on yet.
Oh,
Okay. All right, court will call 20 CR 1358, People versus Letitia Stalk. Record should reflect the jury is not present in the courtroom. I've been advised that the jury has reached verdicts in this case. Before I bring the jury in, I want to remind everybody of a couple of things. First of all, if you have a phone out, put it away, unless you are in this front row. In addition, I know that this is an emotional case. I get that. I understand that, really, I do. But this jury has worked hard. So regardless of whether you agree with or don't agree with their verdict, you need to exercise appropriate decorum. So let's not have any emotional outbursts or anything like that. And I think we're good to go. Let's go ahead and bring the jury in, now that I have you doing something else. Okay. But they all seem to be on. It doesn't matter to me. I see it. So long as it's broadcasting, I just wanted to make sure that was not the issue. All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. May all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letitia Stalk. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I see that juror number 5, that would be you, has all the instructions and things like that. That's usually a tip-off to me that you might be the foreperson. Are you in fact the foreperson? And has the jury reached verdicts in this case? All right, if you would hand the instructions and the verdict forms to Mr. Sproul, please. Thank you. All right, the verdict forms do appear to be in proper order. I will have a question for you because there's some extra writing on here, but I think I understand what's going on. So with respect to count number 1, charge of murder in the first degree after deliberation, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 1, murder in the first degree after deliberation. With respect to count number 2, charge of murder in the first degree, child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 2, murder in the first degree, child under 12, position of trust. With respect to count number 3, charge of tampering with a deceased human body, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 3, tampering with a deceased human body. With respect to count number 4, charge of tampering with physical evidence, we, the jury, find the defendant, Letitia Stout, guilty of count number 4, tampering with physical evidence. I wanted to ask the jury, or actually the foreperson, there is some extra writing on here with respect to question number 1. There's a cross through and some initials. And then on part B, there's also a cross through with initials. Was that signifying that you were not answering that and you intended to answer guilty as to that charge?
Yes, sir.
All right. And is that what you intended with all of the other verdict forms?
Yes, sir.
All right. With that, does either side wish to have the jury poll the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, what this means is that this is a process that is sometimes requested by the attorneys following a verdict to make sure that everybody has agreed on all parts of it. So I'll go down the row, starting in the back. Juror number 1, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 2, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 3, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 4, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 5, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 6, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 7, is this and are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
Juror number 8, is this and are these your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 10, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 11, is this and are these your verdicts? Juror number 12, is this and are these your verdicts? I want to thank all of you for your service. Jurors don't get a lot of training. However, you all were selected because you were willing to be open-minded and impartial, and were willing to make decisions based on the facts and the law. You, the jury, heard and saw the evidence. You paid attention all day, every day. Someone else may tell you they disagree with your verdict or some aspect of your service. They may want to express their opinion on the matter. However, we didn't ask them for any of their opinions. We asked you for your judgment. We asked you for your verdict based on the law and based on the evidence. Someone else may tell you they think they're better and smarter and more intuitive than all of you were. Ignore them. As a judge, rarely does a day go by that I don't make somebody in the courtroom mad. The fact that some people may disagree with your verdict or the law only means that those who disagree with you were not carefully selected to be fair and impartial. They did not take an oath to follow the law and to judge all of the facts, and they see it differently from you because they didn't see it all from the perspective you did. And they did not discuss the facts with 11 others who were also fair and impartial and sworn to follow the law. You decided this case. This verdict is your verdict. And this is the verdict in the case. No poll, no approval or disapproval. and no press analysis changes that fact. This is the verdict in the case. The press or someone else at some point may wish to talk to you. We live in a world of exceptional voyeurism in reality TV, and this is about as real as it gets. They may try to dissect the evidence, your thought process, and your decision. It's a free country. Anyone can ask you anything about your verdict. You can answer if you choose. They can also, however, respect your privacy and allow you to contact them only if you want to talk to them. And if you don't want to, you don't have to talk to anyone about your verdict. If you do talk with someone, you can tell them as little or as much as you like. Someone may even ask you to give an affidavit regarding some aspect of your jury service. You're free to give an affidavit. You're free to decline to give an affidavit. That is a personal decision you are entitled to make. If anyone continues to talk to you after you have told them you do not want to speak about the matter or becomes critical of you or your jury service, please report that incident to me. Again, I want to thank you very much for your service. Without honest people of our community serving on jurors, we cannot secure the right to a jury trial in this country. And it's a very valuable and a very important right. I want to leave you with some language from a case that was decided by the United States Supreme Court in Louisiana versus Duncan. In that case, an individual was denied the right to a jury by trial, or a trial by jury, sorry. And that case went all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court sent it back to the state of Louisiana. And it said, you need to give this man what the Constitution requires, which is a trial by jury. And when it sent the case back to Louisiana, it said, we believe that trial by jury is fundamental to the American scheme of justice. Trial by jury is more than an instrument of justice and more than one wheel of the Constitution. It is the lamp that shows that freedom lives. Without your dedication and sacrifice, that lamp would not shine as brightly as it does. So I truly thank you for your service. You are now discharged with the thanks of the court. And for the last time, all rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. I don't know how you want to proceed on sentencing. I do need to talk to the jury for a few minutes because I need to tell them some things about security issues, counseling issues, and things like that. So I do need to talk with them for a few minutes. I also didn't know if the family, the prosecution, anybody wanted to have some time to process the verdicts. I also understand that everybody's been here for 5 weeks, so I get that part too. So I'm open to whatever you want to do with respect to sentencing, but I probably am going to need at least a half an hour with the jury.
I think that would be appropriate, Judge. The people are obviously ready to go to immediate sentencing. I believe defense is as well. And,
Okay.
and I can tell you that the family's been thinking about this day for over 3 years. They're ready to go to sentencing as well.
Okay, then give me about 30 minutes and we will come back and proceed to sentencing at that point in time.
All right. Woo! What a relief. I was just waiting. I was like, my goodness, someone's fighting about something. They've been going back and forth for almost 8 hours. What could they be talking about besides the obvious? Thank you, Muscles and Mascara. And thank you, everybody, for being so supportive of the channel, being supportive of each other, and everything we do every day for these cases. We've been waiting a long time. Fiona said, what about the insanity part? Nothing was mentioned. Annie said, we can go have margaritas with her. All right. We can do that. I still think about what she put him through. And could you imagine the relief on Al's face and Landon's face and basically everyone in the community? Because had it been guilt by insanity, hell, she could be out by Christmas. Fun to Ski said Letitia was saying at the time, she's just evil. Colorado statutes say a crime this egregious says that she'll never see the light of day. She will never see the light of day. She will be in jail the rest of her life. No possibility of parole. Child under the age of 12. The DA was so smart in the way he put the charges on her. In her care, a person in the position of trust. Everything, according to the state of Colorado, sets the criteria for life without parole. So we have 30 more minutes and we're going to hear the sentencing. Let's see some of Letitia's smartass remarks.
I am Tisha Stout, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20 some death threats already. Two, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home. And of course, I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and then during the investigation, I was told I wasn't complying. And can I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, you know, said I still wasn't complying or said I was, you know, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time. Correct.
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was two really good detectives. And so I'm not, you know, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, you know, they're detectives. They're supposed to twist. The one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things. So I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Gannon. but at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have. And see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. You know, there was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. And I would never, never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
And they weren't in there.
They weren't even in her car. I mean, in her purse.
And
They were
you-
in my pocket.
You originally didn't even know it was the law enforcement officers?
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got the, like, who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay, but they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, you know, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, you know, and then brought out with men with guns. And that's just not okay. You know, they could have approached me and said, hi, I'm with El Paso County. Can I please get this? Instead of the way that it happened.
I'm just going to check your chat. Doing great. Want to make sure that we're still good on recording, still can hear you okay. Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while my mic will give out and I want to make sure that's not going to happen here. Okay. I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes. Wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have. My family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we have that same goal. We've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario. And, you know, he's always helpful. And he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house. And we have 2 little cute dogs. And he was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away. You know, sometimes with kids, we have to remind them and things like that. And that's okay. But he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
I know you just said that you can't say anything about the investigation, so you can just say so again if you can't answer this. But is there anything we can hear about the hike? Was there a hike? We don't. That just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here? Because she can go and say that, you know, she came home from work after the hike and she can verify that Gannon was at our home.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. If she doesn't want to, that's okay. But you're allowed.
That's fine.
Sound okay so far?
Yes. I need Harley. Because they want you to verify was Gannon at home after the hike. Because you didn't go to the hike, but you came home from work.
Do you want me to just say yes?
No, just answer the question. Yes, you came home from work and you can verify Gannon was at home. Yeah. I told her she didn't have to be too in depth because she is still, you know, a child, but I want to make sure that someone knows that there's another person to verify that Gannon.
Sure.
Does she need to hold this?
No.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work and I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then you guys came home.
Yes.
Where'd you guys go hiking?
Garden of the Gods.
Okay. I guess when
And then we ate Burger King afterwards. So, you know,
there you go.
yeah.
And then it just was, I'm gonna go to play at a friend's house. And then it was just I'm off to go to play at a friend's house.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to like comment on that anymore. And for that reason is because some things have been turned and twisted. And, you know, that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that. And that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never
That's
mind.
right.
I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with
Yeah.
legal stuff. Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is gonna help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope am I on camera now?
You are
okay.
still.
Okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative. But to me, it's okay that they think those things because the way someone thinks about me, I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Gannon or any of the children in our home because that's just not the case. I've spent my whole entire life working so hard in education. There was even things online that was talking about my education license and I shouldn't even be a teacher. And they just didn't know that. Like we moved on a military move and I didn't finish out my contract. So I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, you know, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, you know. And
Do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
it definitely is. And, you know, here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care like about doing those things? Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that. That's how I feel. Like we just should not, we should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens because Gannon's going to come home.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
We just wanted to add a message to Gannon from my family is that we love you and miss you. And we hope that you come home soon. And Gannon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know that you're okay. We love you.
It is surveillance video that could.
Gannon did tell what happened. When his body was found under that bridge, it told everything that happened. Everything that happened to him. She thought nobody would find him. Gannon was in the courtroom. And everything that she did to him was told. This is her rage. This is her moral bankruptcy. And it's horrible. It is absolutely horrible what she did. But when she said, it's such foreshadowing. When Gannon comes home, he's going to tell everybody what happened. He did. We heard it all. We heard it all. A body tells everything, even when the body can't speak. It shows every mark, every bruise, every burn, every beating, every gunshot, every stabbing. He told his own truth. And thank goodness the jury heard it. And this insanity that they were trying to peddle. And I don't blame the defense attorneys. I don't. They were doing their job. I do blame Dr. Lewis because I think she's a hack scientist. I don't think she's a doctor. There's a reason that she can't even prescribe medication to people. She goes from courtroom to courtroom to courtroom, falling out of wheelchairs and getting food poisoning, smoking pot in the stairwell with their son, who's got bigger boobs than her. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. She's the type of doctor that says a child of 6 can decide if they're a boy or girl. That's what you're dealing with there.
Go ahead. I got it on.
I have some.
Stop
I'm not
resisting. Yes, you are. Stop it. Put it behind your back.
Yep.
Tisha, stop it.
I'm not even doing anything.
You just got another charge.
Well, she shouldn't be doing me like this. Stand up. Stop trying to turn. I'm not trying to turn.
You can stay that way the rest of the trip.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to the nearest detention facility. Oh, everybody knows where. Oh, could you please untighten it from my hands? Not right now, teacher. Yes, it's all my arms. Lean forward.
See, this video of her attack on the officer coming through Kansas, that's the real Letitia. Everything that we heard in all of the phone calls, particularly when she was talking to detectives, that's her putting on an act. What we're seeing here, that's the real Letitia. So when she goes to the big house and she's around other women, they're going to get a taste of this. And she's going to figure out how entitled she really is. When Big Bertha comes to her cell and says, "It's my turn," she's going to understand her place in this world. She's going to understand.
Forward, so I can adjust it. Stop manipulating hitting you. You good? You make a call yet?
No, I don't know where we're at.
Okay, hang on. Lock the doors. I know, here's what. Can you turn the air on?
Is there my t-shirt?
Well, I asked for help for the air and she's been nothing but mean to me the whole day.
See, that's the real Letitia. She's got her hands behind her back. She's shackled after she just took a monster can and beat a deputy, beat an officer, because she has no respect for anyone, especially authority. Well, that's what she gets for being mean to me all day, she said. So what's going to happen when she goes to the big house? No longer going to be in the county jail. Good luck getting your pen and paper. Listen to that again. That's what she gets for being mean to me today.
You good? You make a call yet?
No, I don't know where we're at.
Okay, hang on. Lock the doors. I got her what? Can you turn the air on?
Is there my t-shirt?
Well, I asked for help for the air and she's been nothing but mean to me the whole day. I can't breathe. Stop. I can't breathe. What? Just open it so I can breathe. That's all I'm asking for is to breathe. I'm just asking to breathe. That's it. Is to breathe. That's all I want to do is breathe.
2600 Avenue. Right by Pretty
hard.
Horses. On 70.
I'm not resisting her. You're hurting my arm.
My phone is jacking up. Cold.
You're hurting my arm. You're hurting my arm. I just want my arm. It's hurting my arm. Just let my arm up. It's hurting my arm.
The more you press against me, the harder I'm gonna press on the.
It's not the pressure point. It's my arm. It's bent backwards and it's hurting. Can you just take
Yes,
pressure
ma'am.
off
This
my
is
arm?
Detective Bethel with the El Paso County Sheriff's
Please,
Office.
off my arm.
Emergency unit
I am.
to the 2600 block of
It's pulling my
Interstate 70.
pulling my wrist, please.
I have Keisha Couch in custody. She's just attempted to escape and she's trying resisted.
I didn't try to
Hold on.
escape.
You just tried.
No, I didn't open the door to breathe.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on I-70 westbound in the 2600 block.
We were calm. We were not doing anything, correct?
Can you please, but as it was my wrist.
Let me speak first, okay?
Okay.
As soon as you try to open that door.
Remember the last mile marker we hit?
The door so I could breathe. It's hot. I asked you to help me, but you just lean over and don't help. I said, hey, could you please find out how to turn the air on? Hey, the whole time you've been nothing but rude to me.
Been nothing but rude to me at this bed and breakfast. My goodness. Where's my mint? Where's my French coffee? What is going on? All I asked you to do was turn on the air. But all I can do instead of communicating is hit somebody in the face with a monster can. Thank you, Good Night Al. Thank you, Brooks, for your tireless coverage. Well, we're always here, my friend. We're like a 7-Eleven. We're always open for these cases. And I mean it. This stuff makes me so mad because the mainstream media keeps what's going on at the back of it. They want to talk about stuff no one cares about and is really inconsequential if you want to know the truth. And I do very much appreciate it. For some reason, I cannot. There you go. I got it put up. Thank you. Good night, Al. Because it's absolutely ridiculous. What is more important in our society? than our next generation. And what goes on at home? Nothing. That's where that's our building blocks. That's our building blocks. That's everything. Listen, this idiot. Been mean to me all day.
Tisha, I'm just putting my arm down because it's hurting. I didn't try to escape or anything. I legit opened the door to breathe.
Detective Jessica Bethel with the Castle County Sheriff's Office.
Ow, my arm is hurting.
I am in a gray Chrysler minivan buried in Michigan plates. We have the hazards on and we're on the shoulder of the road.
Tell them to pick it up.
And we need a code 3 response, please.
You said you would help my arm. I appreciate it.
Nope. He's assaulted.
Ow, it's hurting.
Boy Edward Tom Henry Edward Finnegan.
Hurting my arm. It's hurting.
8/4/83 is her birthday.
I did not try to escape.
No, ma'am, I
I
have
did
two other
not. Tell
deputies
us the
with me.
story.
SRT.
Could not breathe. I asked you to open the door.
Yep. We've got her under
Yes, ma'am.
control right now. We've got Kansas coming out here now. Well, we're gonna get some
Yes, ma'am.
other equipment to at least secure her, or
No,
at
ma'am.
least have them, somebody take us or escort us to the border and then have one of our people come to the border.
Well, hurting my arm.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, everybody's fine. You're good. Hit her. With a fist, she got out of her cuffs.
She slipped her cuffs and
She
hit
slipped them.
a deputy and tried to escape.
I did not try to escape.
So that's what our plan is. So if you can, I don't know how far we are.
Nope.
But
We're all
as
okay.
soon as we get an escort to the.
We just need a secure unit to transport further.
Yeah. We're gonna have, is that for state patrol? We'll have them escort us to the Colorado
Do
border.
you have any state patrol?
Well, my arm is hurting.
Or who's dispatching out, man? Before you maybe ask me where you trying to go, okay?
No, I just want to get off my arm. It's hurting.
I understand, so if I feel like you're trying to pull against me. If I could get a state patrol officer en route as well to help me escort to the Colorado border.
Lift my head off.
Like we're good, use your time, and we'll see what we can do. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna put my partner, Detective Riley, on the phone with you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
We're at 284.
Okay.
Nice. Let's see.
Yes.
You okay?
Can you please lift up my wrist?
No. Not up for that.
After what?
Once you're.
Yes, ma'am. We're doing an expedition.
I didn't try to
Piece of
escape. I opened the door to breathe.
Back
You know
to
that.
Colorado. She
Yes, I
slipped her
did.
cuffs and
You know-
assaulted the deputy. We have her under control right now. But we would appreciate.
I feel like it's breaking my wrist.
And then we'll have our state patrol meetings, if that's possible.
Relax.
I
Or
can't.
the pressure will get
But
worse.
if it gets worse, then guess what? I have to go to a hospital because she hurts me.
What's your number, Jess?
On that, 650-719. Should just be able to look it up.
That's correct. We're at the 284.
284 westbound.
My wrist, it's hurting. It's hurting.
Relax.
I can't, my wrist is breaking.
Your wrist is not.
It's hurting.
The more you wiggle, the more it's going to hurt.
Thank you.
Relax.
I'm trying, but it's hurting. Like things are hurting my
Stop
wrist.
moving.
No, that's fine. We'll wait here for officers.
You're pushing down on
Thank you,
me.
ma'am.
We've got some
Bye-bye.
right now.
They're coming right now.
Got 6 en route. Stop trying
I'm not trying to resist.
Then stop turning.
To you, you're holding me for nothing.
Okay, stop trying to turn against
I'm not
me.
trying to turn against you. You're holding me.
Go ahead and buckle her. We're gonna make sure she's not gonna get out of her restraints this time.
Oh, she's not now. She's not going nowhere.
Right, you're short. All right. All right, court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letitia Stout. My understanding is that both sides are prepared to proceed to sentencing. Is that accurate? Prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
All right, before we start, well, first of all, I assume that we're going to have some family members.
We have some family members and other people that were affected by this
Okay.
case that would like to speak. Yes.
Sure. All right. Before we start, I want to remind everybody that I am the person that imposes the sentence in this case. That means that when you come up to the podium, you address all your comments to me. You need to do that in a respectful fashion. Remember the decorum. You guys have done great for the last 5 or 6 weeks. And I know we're at the end now, but it's still important to continue with that type of appropriate and proper conduct. So if there's anyone that is going to speak as to sentencing, you don't turn and face the defendant. All your comments are directed to me. In addition, Ms. Stout, you'll have an opportunity to make a statement to the court as well. Same rule applies to you. Your comments are directed to me. You don't turn and face anybody in the gallery or anybody else. If you have any comments, you make them to me. So with that, prosecution.
Just before we get started, I just got a notification that it sounds like maybe on WebEx, your mic might be off, or I was just getting a notification that people are not hearing that.
It's, it looks like it's on. Or my tab says it's on.
It is.
Okay.
It
He
is.
says it's working.
Okay.
It may not have been on a little bit ago, and we were having a technical issue, and I think it got restarted, so I think we're okay now.
Okay.
So, but if you continue to get messages, let me know.
I will do, Judge.
Okay.
The first person that would like to make a statement to the court is Nicole.
All right.
And I'll have each person spell a name for the court report.
Yes. All right. Just step up to the podium there and just state your name and then tell me what you have to tell me.
Nicole Mobley, Nicole Mobley. I just want to initially thank you for everything that you've done through all of this, as well as the prosecution. This has been well over 3 years of a family, as well as hundreds or thousands of us who have gone through a lot. It's been hard. It's been heartbreaking. And to finally see some kind of justice, especially for his family, is incredible. And I just want to thank everybody for everything that you guys have done.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jane?
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Janie Cadenas.
All right. Can you spell that last name?
Cadenas.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, like what Nicole said, wanted to thank you for making this such a fair and neutral trial through the process. I am here today as I have sat with the family for the last 3 years as a community member in Larson Ranch who has watched the turmoil that this has caused everybody in our community. 3 years ago, we heard as a neighborhood what happened, that a little boy went missing, and we rallied together in a way that most communities can never experience or imagine. We came together and we helped find ways to get media involved, to get search parties involved, to do everything we could to be of assistance to find this little boy, because Gannon wasn't just a neighbor, he was all of our little boys. For months and months until he was found, we were all scared to let our kids go outside because we were scared that they would be kidnapped. We didn't know what was going to happen. And through that process, we all came together and we met Landon and Al, those of us that didn't know them, and we built relationships and friendships and garnered a family relationship with them through that process. But this is just one thing that, as a community member, somebody who was a part of it from the beginning, that I can confidently say, this is the worst tragedy that anybody could ever go through and every parent's nightmare. And I have watched and held Landon as she falls apart time after time. But we are here today and justice has finally been served for Gannon. And we want to thank you as a community for that opportunity for this to happen today.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Jeff Davenport, Jeffdavenport. I am Gannon's great uncle. I'm Albert's uncle, and my sister Debbie, who hopefully will be speaking in a few minutes, is his grandmother. Because I am a couple of steps away from him in relation, even though I have personal memories of Gannon and the loving, wonderful young man that he was and the great man he would have been. I want to leave the depth of impact to his parents. So I would like to talk about the breadth of impact. The preciousness of an 11-year-old's life is beyond measure, and all other impacts to all the rest of us pale in comparison to the loss he suffered himself. But this now convicted murderer did not just murder Gannon. She murdered all of the love and joy and encouragement and security he would have brought to all those he encountered throughout his life. She murdered his children and his grandchildren and all of the joy and love and encouragement and security they would have brought to all those they encountered throughout their life, and so on and so on. She murdered his junior prom, his senior prom, his high school graduation, his college years, his career, his marriage, his retirement, and his golden years, and it just goes on and on. Because of her crime, all of our fragile trust in one another has been further eroded. It's not an exaggeration to say that millions of people throughout the world have heard of this crime and will, as a consequence, be less trusting and more suspicious of those in whose care they entrust their children, even those who have loved and cared for their children for years. And because of her specious, cynical, calculated use of the NGRI defense in this case, those who are truly mentally ill will be treated with more suspicion and may not receive the help that they need. The reverberations of her murder of Gannon will ripple throughout eternity, and the impact of her crime is truly incalculable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Judge. It's Veronica Birkenstock, spelled Veronica, Birkenstock, Birkenstock.
I am Landon's aunt, Veronica, or Aunt V, and his great aunt. Nothing in life prepares you for the murder of a child. No one ever thinks this can happen to your family. A little over 3.5 years ago, I got a call, a very dreaded call, that I needed to come and be with Landon. For over 3 years, I have dear left her side in all the hearings, all the motions, and all the hearings that the defendant decided not to come to because she didn't think it was important. But regardless, we showed up, and we showed up for Gannon. I want to talk about forgiveness today because as a Christian, I have to forgive, not because I want to, because human flesh does not want to. The judge today, on behalf of Landon and I, we want this court to know that we have forgiven Letitia for what she did. God is the ultimate judger. But I pray today that your judge will give her what she deserves on this earth and will let God do the rest in eternity. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I would like to leave this Bible. And at some point in time, if you think it's okay to give to Letitia as she serves her life sentence, and we hope that will be the punishment that you render shortly. But this is a life application Bible. For the rest of her natural life, I hope she will read the Word of God. And I hope that she will turn from her evil ways and the things that she did to our family. I have sat here for 6 weeks, and I have listened to the horrendous things that she did to my nephew. I don't want the last memory of him to be what she did to him. Our last memory of Gannon was one of fun, love, joy, so articulate, and despite everything, he was gifted and intelligent. He wasn't supposed to live. The day he was born, the doctors told us he had really no chance. He weighed 1 pound and a few ounces. I'll never forget the picture that Albert sent when he took his wedding ring and it would fit all the way to his shoulder. For months, I saw Landon and Albert pray over their baby. And one of the happiest days was the day he got to come home. And I was there with them. I got to spend the first night holding him for the first time and looked in his beautiful little eyes, and he fought so hard to get there. His 11 years did have impact. And I want us to remember again, and it's who he was, not what his evil deed did to his memory. He is our hero and will always be our hero. Letitia tried to steal many things from my niece. She called her a drug addict. She called her homeless when she was in the hospital having her 3rd child. She was there for months and months trying to save her life and her baby. She wasn't homeless. Landon's a good mother. She loved her children. She loved Gannon, and her only son was taken away by someone who was just ferociously jealous of my niece. With all that being said, I pray that you will give her the sentence that she deserves. But I also pray that God will forgive her if she repents and turns from her evil ways.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Allen?
My name is Bob Rogers, B-O-B, R-O-G-E-R-S. My wife Patty and I are grandparents to Lena and Gannon, who we never had the opportunity to meet in person. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of tears and challenges with Al, if we hopefully helped him walk through this tragedy. The person that comes to mind for me is Lena. Lena is Gannon's younger sister. And we have the opportunity to be grandparents to her. And she's a beautiful child. She sings beautifully. She's talented. What she doesn't have is an older brother to stand beside her as she goes through her life. She still mentions Gannon quite often, her brother. We never want the spirit of Gannon or the memory of Gannon to be lost. So I just am a loss for words. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I am Deborah Pierce, Pearce. Sorry. Ann's grandmother. And I just wanted to thank you, first of all, Your Honor, for this court and everything that's been done, for everyone who has so carefully and impartially cared for this case, for this loss of this precious child. And I feel that if Gannon were here today, he would say, please, please protect my family and be concerned for the loss that they've had. This has gone from my children to my grandchildren, little children who lost a cousin who never understood why something like this could happen. If he were here today, he would say, please take care of my family. Make sure that they're protected as time goes on and as this life goes on. And obviously to help us to go forward in this life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Landon Bullard, also referred to as Hyatt in this case, but Bullard's Bullard. I miss you, Gannon, and I love you to the moon and back again. I know every day you're with me and your sisters, but that will never be taken away. The ache that I have for you, to hold you, to hug you, to tell you how much I love you, and to see your smile and your innocence. I remember all the pain your dad and I suffered with having children. It was never easy, and we were always fearful through the process. On September the 29th, 2008, our lives were forever changed. Our first biggest blessing came into the world, weighing only 1 pound and 6 ounces. You fought all the odds and developed a personality and a smile that's larger than life. You became my hero that day. You forever changed my heart and my life, and that will never change. That is something that can never be taken away from me. You came into this world fighting. And unfortunately, you left this world fighting. Your Honor, she fought against someone that he loved and trusted. Someone that myself and Albert both trusted and loved. Someone who could never understand what it means to love or trust anyone but herself. For more than 3 agonizing years, I've often wondered what I may say, or if I would even be able to. For 3 years, I have questioned every single possibility and scenario. For 3 years, I have tried to forgive you, but I can't. I want to. But no parent should have to bury their child. No parent should have to see or hear the horrific things you have done to the whole family. She has taken away the most precious gift in this world. Not just my family, not Al's family, but your own family. She destroyed dozens of lives of people who never wanted to believe that she could have done this. She knew how special Gannon was, and she knew what meant to most of me. I, in my heart, can never understand her hatred and insecurities when it came to me. I did love her. Mother to mother, I trusted her with my children
while trying to survive a complicated life with my third child. And she used every opportunity to write a narrative of my life to try to take pieces of my life. When she already took some of it, that still wasn't enough. She searched. I lost my place. I don't know where I'm at now. She searched so hard for love when all along she had it, but she took it for granted. I didn't hold anger against you then. I still kept my heart open to her. You had so much love from Lena and Gannon, from Harley, her own daughter, that you willingly subjected to the chance of serving time for her crimes. Such an indicator of her inability to love anyone herself. You had support, appreciation for me, even when we couldn't see eye to eye, because I valued her for helping me with our children when I physically couldn't. Even when I was fighting for my kids, as you wrote a false smear campaign against me and my children, and also Al. For me, I still appreciated that they were loved by you. So I thought. She had everyone fooled. She projected abuse and addiction claims against all of us, not just me, when all along she was the one harming innocent children. Anything to take the light off, manipulating us, breaking my kids, and murdering my son. I can't say that she ruined my life, because that will be some form of sick victory for her. Because even through this process, it's been a game to her. The people who listened doesn't know her style or her sly jabs. She's even made at Albert and I. They do not know the significance of certain things she says or does. But we do. Instead of allowing her to take that power of hurting me further, I wanted to tell you this. Let me tell you what Gannon has done. Even to this day, even after you murdered him and she tried to taint any positive image of him, he has caused families and communities to come together. Children and adults have given their life to Christ. He has called unity in times of trial. He is a hero. She even tried to steal that away. A cape? Huh? The one image of Gannon that was created for the world. After it went national, TV begging for the return of my son, my hero. How dare her? How truly sick and cruel is she? You stole so much from this world. Gannon's cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters, new siblings, grandparents, and friends are missing a huge portion of their lives without Gannon. Lena is missing her brother. Your Honor, I've never seen a bond between two siblings so close as theirs. She had to take that. Why? I'm afraid we may never know that answer, will we? I show his baby sister Nova pictures and videos of Gannon, so she will always remember who he is, because she stole him from us. He is not forgotten and never will be. And it's so sad to sit here today and face her, a person even Gannon loved, one that I know while she was attacking and killing him and fought for his life, he defended himself against her, still loving her. A love she never deserved from him for what she has done. While she is too much of a coward to even come forward with the truth, she owes it to Gannon. But the lack of remorse and the lack of respect to Gannon through this child, her lack of compassion shows me that she and we were all wrong. She manipulated all of us and never loved Gannon, Lena, or Harley. I've sat here for over a month having to listen to her sick lies, even as she tried to destroy who I was and Albert as a father. I've had to sit and listen and watch every reenactment of images no one wants left in their mind. You wanted to leave us with that, knowing it would torture us. But you underestimated me. I am Landon, Gannon's mom, and that will never change. Through my hurt, anger, and pain, I will never be the monster that she is. I can never be filled with the hate that her heart holds. I pray that we will never have to look at her face again,
I will continue to hold on to my faith. Vengeance is not mine, as I surely wish it could be at times, but it's the Lord's. I have to trust in that. Thank you, Judge Warner, for your compassion, your patience through this trial. I want to thank the juror for their attentiveness and time that they took for justice for my boy, to the detectives, officers, legal team for every single second they've poured out into Gannon's case, and to the community for your countless hours. Tisha, that was her biggest mistake. You underestimated this community and this defensive team, Lawson Ranch. They searched for and fought for Gannon within hours, and they never believed your lies from the moment they started. None of these people ever gave up on him. You never looked. All of these people I will forever hold close to my heart. Always Gannon strong. My G-men forever. Justice has been served today. Your Honor, I pray that you just give her the best sentencing, the longest sentencing that you can. This will not bring my son back, but I can sleep soundly for the first time in 3 years, knowing that you can never harm, this defendant can never harm anyone again, knowing Gannon will always be a true hero in a cape. He will always be my son. That will never be taken away.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Allen?
Once I was 7 years old, my mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely. Once I was 7 years old. Do, 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 do. It was a big, big world, but we thought we were bigger. Pushing each other to the limits, we were learning quicker.
Al Stout, Gannon's father, capital F-A-T-H-E-R. Last name Stout. S-T-A-U-C-H. I'm going to start with something from my wife, not to go out of order, but she didn't think she could make it through it. So this is my wife, Melissa, and these are her words. Some may say or think that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Tisha. In part, that may be accurate, and I would be okay with that, because then Gannon would still be here. I too know the pain of losing a child, and there is no greater pain. We are now lifelong grief partners, as this is a lifelong journey of pain with 2 sons waiting for us in heaven. I have some words from my daughter Elena I will address in the middle of my speech, but they're written in yellow, so I'll leave it to a child. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. The poem I read is named Invictus, translated from the Latin means unconquerable. I quoted this same poem at Gannon's memorial here in Colorado Springs back in August of 2020. Why August of 2020? When his body was ripped to shreds on January 27th? Well, as we heard testimony to, his body was found 1,370 miles away. And in the process to identify his maggot-infested remains withheld him from us until July 2020. As I stated in my testimony on the stand, Gannon was born severely premature and barely filled my 2 hands the first time I held him. At the end of his life, after his body was cremated into a pile of ashes, he was ultimately no bigger than the first time I held him. As brutal as the wait became, I'm thankful to God and the bridge workers for finding him and returning his precious body to Landon and I. I quote the poem Invictus again, not to boast of my strength and perseverance, Your Honor, but to say to the world, I alone can control my actions and reactions. Your Honor, I refuse to allow anger to poison my soul and orient my life to a pursuit of vengeance. I refuse to allow pain to carry me through each day and promote the pursuit of medicinal retribution toward the offender. I refuse also to let my mind be clouded by inconsistency and emotions that deter me from the purpose in this life. Your Honor, the price I pay each and every day for this resolve is to only get pieces and parts of my son. And consistently through time. But the pain is too heavy and the anger too overwhelming and the desire for vengeance too vexing. Instead, each and every day I pursue peace. I seek joy in my life and let the love I have for my wife and family flow in and out of me like a mighty wave. As I told Tisha regularly at the end of our relationship, my joy is mine alone, and she cannot rob me of that. I will learn to experience G more and more as time goes on, but as I did my best to instill into his precious soul, love, joy, service, and kindness are the pathway to take in life. This picture shows that in the 4th grade, he already had a mind for service. Throughout these past 3 years since Gannon was beaten and drugged, carved up, shot at point blank range and discarded like yesterday's garbage, I've encountered many people that would figuratively do the same to me. I've been questioned, compared as Tisha did to my abusive father, and ridiculed for my approach to finding Gannon. I hope now that the world has seen that I was assigned the most arduous task of finding Gannon in the only place that was possible for him to have been in the mind of a killer. Were my efforts fruitful? I believe so. But from the moment I did not see the Volkswagen Tiguan, or however you say it, at French Elementary on that Tuesday evening, a clear direction for finding Gannon pointed directly and precisely at Tisha. While others online, some who are even in the courtroom today, questioned my perceived lack of effort or concern, I stood still and stood firm in knowing that only one person had the information needed to find Gannon. Now I say woe to the person who questions a father's resolve when the safety and well-being of his children are at stake. I did not waver. I did not falter in the pursuit, nor did I allow the mentality of the mob to shake me. But it was only by the grace of God that Gannon's precious body was finally found. In Mark 4:39 of the Bible, in the middle of the storm, Christ arose and rebuked the wind and said, "Peace, be still." In times of trial in my life, from seeing my father being taken away in handcuffs, to seeing that sweet 1 pound, 6 ounce baby boy for my firstborn son, to have that peace and be still. As I alluded to previously, that stillness does provide an easy target for many who do not understand peace, hope, and even faith. Some, including Tisha, feasted on my stillness, attacked, and yes, left several scars. One of these scars comes in the form of the financial and residential ruin that began in the early days of this ordeal. I'm just going to skip this part because I don't want to make this any more about me. I'm not seeking any restitution, Your Honor. For the $1.50 a month I receive from the defendant, Tisha, would just keep me connected to her for the rest of my life, and I don't want that. So absolutely no restitution, Your Honor. The murderer of which I speak was not always such. When I met Tisha, she was beautiful, extremely intelligent, as many have testified to, and a seemingly successful woman. A far cry from the nappy-headed, murderous, narcissistic, and arrogantly flippant human being that sits in our midst today. Having a background in teaching, social work, higher education, certified babysitting, and endless amount of credentials, that should render one trustworthy when it relates to the safety of children. However, although she remains too much a coward to state the facts of what she did to Gannon, too much a lily-livered, self-centered, pathological liar to ask for forgiveness, and too much the facade of one who actually cares for others to have taken her frustration out on an adult or one who could defend themselves, she will one day give an account through her words or through her time. Sending pictures of Gannon sleeping to Landon and I was telling, as the boy looked pale and absent of the energies that so defined him. This is what a happy, healthy little boy looks like when he's sleeping. The next picture. That's what a little boy sleeping looks like. These pictures on the screen are of a happy, healthy little boy that's sleeping sweetly, healthily where he lay. The impact Tisha had as a result of this heinous crime stretches far wider and far deeper than I could depict in my statement today. 2 other people torn to pieces as a result of this are Gannon's sister, Lena, and Harley. Speaking of Harley, I feel as though I've lost 2 children as a result of this tragedy, one of which I will never see on this earth again, and the other which I do not know if a relationship can be salvaged with. Now for Lena. The video you saw as submitted in evidence, her bebopping down the street, is actually an excellent depiction of Lena and her happiness and her joy in life. She is very loving, trusting, and at times way too social. Normally, you might be concerned by your little girl talking to the utility guy working in the front yard, but in this case, it was the inside of her own home that was of grave concern. Nonetheless, her loss, Lena's loss, is like none I can even imagine. She lost her big brother, her only brother at the time. I still do not know if she has fully processed or fully understands the gravity of the situation, but regardless has pressed forward and is thriving as best as she can. I am so proud of her. And these are her words. Once again, they're in yellow, so I'll do the best I can. And this is what I asked her if she wanted to say anything to Tisha, and this is what she said in her sweetest mind that she has. That you do not do that to people, especially your stepkids. And that it is never all right to do these things. How sweeter of a response can you get? Now for my precious, premature firstborn son. Get it? I never in my wildest dreams would have ever thought you'd be in danger, buddy, or I know I wouldn't have not left you. At home with what turned out to be your murderer and the last person to ever see you on this earth. I'm so sorry. Through a father's eyes, children are truly a gift from God and among the best and most perfect creations God can make. Your Honor, I do need to clear one thing up with the defense. It was said in the closing, somehow Gannon has been compared to a demon. And I understand the process, I do. But if they want to take the case up of Gannon being a demon, I will line people up from Alaska to Denver to Colorado Springs, all the way to South Carolina to testify against them. Gannon was nobody's demon. I don't care how much anyone was abused or anything, he was not anyone's demon. Oh, okay. Gannon was truly my buddy. Very recently, before he died, the most alarming thing he did was call me dad. Up until age 10 or 11, I was daddy. But in the last months of his life, I was just dad. A signal that he was coming into those junior high, pre-teenage years. Another amazing thing that is he finally started asking me regularly to play ball with him. He was never too much into sports for most of his life, but that last 6 to 9 months, he really started enjoying playing ball. Some of the most memorable times were him running little 5-yard football routes in the street in front of our house. Most of the time he dropped the ball, but he kept asking, let's do it again. I almost had it that time, Daddy. Oh, and that Nintendo Switch. One of the most difficult pieces of evidence to give up was his Nintendo, because that probably has the most of him on it. Knowing I may never see that again is truly devastating. For him, many of his games were not just games, but a challenge to overcome, as I made him beat specific games before I would buy him the next one. I remember not long before he died, him beating the old school Zelda game he had. As he felt he was getting close to beating the final monster, he paused it, ran upstairs, and we sat at the kitchen island, and he beat he beat it right there together with me. He was as excited as I ever saw him. With all of that and all of the pain of only being able to see him play through the one YouTube video he was able to make, which I'm about to play, I can sleep in peace at night because the father I am and the son he is was culminated as always in our final embrace as he ran out of arms and downstairs to watch Pokemon, I in his heart and he in mine. If we could try to play that video, just maybe the first 10 or 15 seconds of it.
Hey guys, and today I'm about to play some Sonic Maniac. Alright, zoom in. And yes, cameraman is right here. Derpa Solar White Gaming. And yes, sign up for our channels. We're going to be doing a lot of these together. Give a shout out to him, his channel, Freedom.
Thank you. I was one of the many he hoped to make and the only one he was actually able to make. I do want to add something that I don't have in my speech that me and Landon already had a conversation about this, and I owe her an apology as well as she already gave me one, that we allowed Tisha to manipulate us into some of the pain and disagreements that we had between one another. And Landon, I'm sorry. But I will say this, Tisha was not the glue to keep everything together. She was not the answer. And this is not a jab, Landon, okay? But Lena still lives with me. Tisha, you were not the answer. Now, Your Honor, if I have any influence on the final sentence for Tisha, first I ask to be stripped of my last name immediately. It's nauseating and infuriating to hear her called Miss Stout this past 3 years. Secondly, I ask that for every mile she drove Gannon across the country, she spent 1 day in solitary confinement. I think that took us in between 3 and 4 years. After that journey is complete, I recommend her sentence be equal to every year she stripped off of Gannon's life, which for the average male in America right now is 77. So that would give her 66 more years in addition to the 11 he lived. Lastly, for every year of Harley's life that she abusively manipulated that child, she should have an additional year of prison. That adds 21 years to the total. I think without parole, that should suffice. I pray also that Tisha lives the fullest and happiest life that any inmate possibly can live. I also pray that every night before she falls asleep, her last breath before she drifts off sounds just like the breath that she describes Gannon breathing as life left his body. And that all through her sleep, she dreams of all the fun they had at Disney and other places we went throughout our time together. And that every morning as she is about to wake, the end of her dream, the last words Gannon spoke to her, screamed or cried, "Tisha, stop! You're hurting me. Why, Tisha? Daddy, help me. I want my mommy. Why couldn't you let her just be a mama's boy? That's all he wanted to be. He just loved his mama. I wish she would tell me what those words were so I would know." And then as she speaks those words, the sound of a gunshot goes off and she wakes. Every day and night, I pray she relives just those moments and then wakes up to a nice, warm, and kosher breakfast. In conclusion, I would like to share a picture of Gannon in his final state and final resting place, and thank everyone that has had a positive impact on my family and I. To everyone that has shared the positive impact Gannon has had on your life, from a proud and broken father, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I'd like to pause until we can get that last photo up.
not getting a feed from your laptop. It's fine. Oh, there it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Alan?
I think that concludes the comments from family and friends, Judge. So I'm not sure if you're ready to hear sentencing comments from me or if you want to do a different process.
Let me hear the sentencing comments from you. The last person that I always hear from in a sentencing is the defendant. So
Okay. Can I have just a moment, Judge?
you may go ahead.
Yeah, just in the abundance of caution, I would ask the court to keep restitution open for a period of time. Obviously, Mr. Stout is not asking for any restitution, but there may be some that we want to submit, and so I would ask the court to keep that open.
Well, based on the new case regarding timelines, I'm going to give you 49 days to submit an order.
Thank you.
If there is an objection, you'll need to file the objection within 14 days after that. And that'll get us all right. So 49 days, 14 if there's an objection, and if there is, we'll have a hearing.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Judge, I'm not going to make a long drawn out statement. I think the comments from the family and friends of the Stout family said it better than I ever could about the impact that Gannon had on their lives. The loss of Gannon from his family and to this community will never be made right through this process. We all know that. The defendant, through her own actions, tore Gannon's family apart, tore this community apart. And at the same time, I've never seen a community come together the way this community did in the face of such tragedy over an 11-year-old boy who most of us never knew. The defendant manipulated this community, Gannon's family, the investigation. I've been a prosecutor for a long time, Judge. You've seen a lot of cases. I've never seen the kind of horror that this defendant brought down on a community and a family. The torture that Gannon had to suffer in the last moments of his life are unspeakable. No matter what sentence you give us, Judge, and I know what that sentence is going to be for the most part, no matter what the sentence is, we'll never bring Gannon back. But it will go a long ways towards healing this community. I hope healing Landon. I hope healing Al. They're going to live the rest of their lives second guessing every decision they made as it relates to leaving their children in the care of this defendant through no fault of their own. Judge, on count one and count two merges into count one. The only sentence available is life in prison without parole. As to count four, tampering with a deceased human body, driving Gannon's body over 1,300 miles away, hiding it from view, hoping it would never be found. I asked for the maximum sentence of 12 years, Judge, and that it be running consecutive to the life in prison without parole. Tampering with physical evidence is an F6. It's 1 to 1.5 years. I ask that you give max on that as well and run that consecutive. Judge, we do have that other pending case, 20 CR 3170, hanging out there. In the grand scheme of things, well, I'd love to prosecute this defendant for that charge as well. In the interest of justice, I would like to see this defendant in Department of Corrections custody as soon as possible. And so we are dismissing that count or that charge. Thank you, Judge.
All right, at this point in time, the defense has an opportunity to present statements in mitigation. Mr. Tellini?
We understand what this is as a matter of law. It's now on some counsel. I don't have pre-sentence confinement or staff so that she ordered that she be allowed to proceed.
Give me an order.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Stout, I heard what your attorney had to say, but I need to hear it from you. You have a right to address the court at this point in time regarding any matter that you want me to consider for sentencing. Do you have anything that you wish for me to consider, ma'am? All right.
Actually, there is.
Go ahead.
Consider this or request to admit, like to request for her to be placed in San Carlos.
I don't have the ability to do that. DOC determines where its inmates go, and I'm not going to make a recommendation one way or the other. And I'm going to apologize before I do this. I've heard a lot. I want to take about 10 minutes to put my thoughts in order. I'll come back with my sentencing at 3:25.
All rise.
Well, hell. The judge needs a few more minutes. What to do? My goodness. Because all of that was so upsetting. Every bit of that was so upsetting. And if you've been around for a minute, you know how Jamie Lunas is. She comes in late for everything. She heard nappy head and didn't even realize what chat she was in. We're all friends here. Exactly, Mama Kay. Woo, Al laid it out. You know the guilt that he goes through every day? And he's blamed for all of this. He's blamed for it. He blames himself. People blame him. He's attacked everywhere by people he will never meet. People he will never meet. And how does that happen? It's called the internet. It's called the internet. It's called people that weigh in on other people's lives. Is it okay for us to judge? Absolutely, we can. Do we judge each other? Yes, we do. That's our discernment. That's how we see each other. That's how we pick friends. That's how we pick a dog. It's how we pick a cat. It's how we pick clothes. It's how we decide on cars. We have a discernment. We have judgment. So yeah, people can judge. There's nothing wrong with that. When your judgment is so skewed that everybody is bad and you're the only good one in the room, then we have a problem. When you have no empathy for people that are hurting, then there's something wrong with you. When you can't see Landon and Al are crippled figures right now, and I don't mean physically, and you can't see there's something wrong, and you want to sit back and point the finger and say, oh my gosh, well, if he had never met her, this would have never happened. So I hope he enjoys every day of this. Doesn't happen that way. Didn't happen in my life. Didn't happen in anyone's life. Or if Landon would have done this, this, and this, Gannon would be alive. Is that how it works? No, because no one has a crystal ball. No one does. No one does. We do the best we can every day. We love each other. We talk to each other. We try to get through each things. And some people have it easier than the others. And it's not about money. Hell, time is more valuable than money, but people don't know how to spend their time. Kung Fu said that's too simplistic. While looking at ways to protect children from murder, we need to discuss what kind of behaviors or indicators moving forward. I agree. I do. I totally agree. And I hope in your home, you're putting those things in place. I do. And you're making sure that anyone that comes around your house is a safe person to be around. Anyone that's in care of your children, they fit they fit the bill. I do. I hope. No, you're right, Kung Fu. What I'm saying does sound simplistic, and it is. And you actually narrowed it down for me. Because the best thing to do is take care of what's inside your own home. It's not about the boogeyman. Hell, it's not even about the RSOs in the neighborhood or what have you. It really isn't. More mothers, let me put it this way, not mothers. More primary caregivers kill children every year than anything. I say mothers because it's normally mothers. Primary caregivers. So in this case, it was Letitia. Gannon was not autistic. Let's not fight with each other. Gannon was not autistic. I don't know where that came from. I understand that's a rumor that came out in the last couple of days. Thank you, Slim. Set in stone, your family's foundation. No more home. They're not built on sand. No. And this is true, Kung Fu, step parents don't have the same feelings for kids. And then sometimes step parents are better parents than their real parents. You got mamas wanting to carve out daddy all the time so they can go to the next boyfriend and call the next boyfriend daddy. Here comes your new daddy. Here he is. Don't you love it? Jules says, don't believe everything you read on the interwebs. What did I read, Jules? Yes, Jamie, it was. I mean, is it that hard to love a child? I understand that they are challenging. I get that. And there are some people that can't be around their children 24/7, which is impossible, by the way. Everyone's got to go to the bathroom. They have to shower, go to work, eat, make meals. Caleb says, Al broke my heart. He broke my heart too. He broke my heart too. You know what? And good for Landon. Good for Landon. Oh, here we go.
A parent's worst nightmare is getting a phone call letting them know that something has happened to their child. How much worse must that nightmare be when law enforcement asks not for a picture of your loved one, but rather DNA and dental records? I've also heard it said that one of the worst tragedies a parent can experience is to outlive a child. I have known people, both professionally and personally, who have gone through that. It never leaves them, but the sharpness of the pain does diminish to some extent over time. I cannot fathom the pain Mr. Stout and Ms. Bullard have experienced as a result of the defendant's actions. A sentence in a criminal case such as this will not change the fact that their son's life was taken from them, and no sentence I impose and nothing I say will ever change that fact. Ms. Stout, you betrayed the person you loved enough to marry. You told your husband lies and took away someone he loved. You took away every day that Mr. Stout or Ms. Bullard could have had with their son. When you take a life, regardless of how you do that, you forever alter the future. Neither Mr. Stout nor Ms. Bullard will ever see their son graduate from high school, go through the joy and the pain of that first love, or get married. They will never know what kind of impact their son may have had on the world if only he had lived to become an adult. And had Gannon's body not been found, they never would have known what happened to Gannon. They would always have had a lingering doubt about what happened to Gannon. And I cannot imagine the pain and sense of loss associated with that. You betrayed your daughter, Harley Hunt. I cannot imagine the emotional impact that you have had on her due to your selfish and calculated actions. This is a young woman that trusted you to put her interests above yours. This is a young woman who believed in you and believed you were innocent of this crime right up until the time that you pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And she still loves you. That's natural for a child, and it doesn't matter how much older they get. You were supposed to protect her. I cannot imagine the guilt she feels or the therapy that she will need to address your betrayal. There is no evidence that she had anything to do with the murder or your cover-up of it, but some people still think that she is somehow involved. She wasn't. The incredible strength of will and courage that it took for her to come in and testify is amazing to me. But she did it because, as she said, it was the right thing to do. And while thankfully she didn't testify, let's not forget about Lena. You betrayed her too. You took her brother from her and forever altered her family dynamics. She will always wonder who she can trust and will always feel that loss. She was there the day you killed Gannon. His body was still in the house when she got back from school. At some point, you even claimed this 8-year-old girl helped you move her brother's body from the basement to the back of your car. That's just simply not true. As she gets older, Lena is going to want to know more, and she's going to want to know if there was something that she could have done to prevent this. I hope she comes to realize that she has no fault in all of this. You betrayed your stepson, and you took his life. You took away everything he was and everything he could ever become. I can't imagine the terror and confusion that he must have felt in the last moments of his life when he knew his life was being taken by someone he trusted to protect it. Your attempt to raise the claim that you did this because of your adverse childhood is also a betrayal of people that have mental health issues. It is no secret that there is a large part of our population that has mental health issues. It's also no secret that our country and our health system could do a much better job addressing mental health issues than it does. However, the number of people with mental health issues who become violent is small, and the number who become murderers is smaller still. Your claim that a mental health issue caused the murder in this case is a disservice to all those who struggle with mental health issues every day. This isn't the first case I have presided over in which sanity or a mental condition of the defendant has been raised as a defense. I have had cases where the defendant's mental condition caused the defendant to act out in a certain fashion. But even in those cases, I have never seen conduct like this. I understand the claim of dissociative identity disorder. I have seen something resembling that, and I have seen defendants with schizophrenic disorders. I can understand those. What I have seen is that the mental condition causes the person to act a certain way, and when they realize what they did, they are astonished by what happened, or they have no memory of what happened. Your claim is that it was another personality that murdered Gannon. But there is no time during the minutes, hours, and days following the murder where Letitia came out and wondered, gee, why am I carrying a body around in my luggage? That just isn't credible. You knew what you were doing. You made a number of clear and conscious decisions to cover or disguise what you had done. Claiming a lack of motive is a common defense tactic, and it can be a sound strategy. The truth is, however, that it only takes a moment to make a bad decision that results in disastrous consequences. And oftentimes, we never know why a defendant chose a particular course of action. However, that does not mean that they did not intend to undertake a course of action. Sometimes, as in this case, the likely explanation is anger. An 11-year-old boy with burns who feels that he's not being taken care of. An 11-year-old boy on the verge of being a teenager. Those of us who have lived through people or kids with that were teenagers, we know how that is. It is not hard to imagine Gannon saying something, "You're not my mom. I want my mom. I want my dad." And that would be enough to make you really angry. But anger is not an excuse. A defendant is responsible for the choices they made and the actions they undertook, even though those choices arose out of or were motivated by anger. It's clear that you hated and were jealous of Landon Bullard. You saw yourself as a better mother than she was. It's clear from the evidence that you had some resentment from being left with Mr. Stauch's children. It's clear you had some resentment toward Mr. Stauch because he traveled as part of his job. Some of that manifested as early as Al's assignment in Alaska when you made allegations against the people in his unit. That caused Al to have to return from Alaska. And in one of the phone calls that were played for the jury, you talked about having to take care of his kids while he was away and what a good mother you were. It's clear you felt trapped. You wanted out. You were searching for a new job and a new location in Florida. Mr. Stauch had been gone on his new assignment for less than 2 days when the fire in the basement occurred. I can imagine that you saw your whole future consisting of taking care of Mr. Stauch's children while he was off doing his thing, and that's not the future that you wanted. I can imagine Gannon at some point after he sustained his burns telling you wanted his real mom and how that comment would have made you angry. You took your frustration and anger for the marriage, the child care, the absence of Al, and even living in Colorado. You took all of that out on Gannon. The evidence suggests you first stabbed Gannon repeatedly, 18 times. Based on the number of defensive wounds, he was clearly conscious for some of that. He was certainly gravely wounded. And chillingly, it would also explain how you were able to mimic the sound of Gannon breathing in one of your sessions with Dr. Lewis. Those were probably close to his last breaths. He was dying but not dead. The evidence could also lead one to conclude that he either fell or rolled off the bed where you shot him in the head and then beat him with the butt of a gun or a baseball bat. That would explain the blood found at different levels on the walls in Gannon's bedroom. I'm also reminded of the look you had on your face when you slipped your handcuffs while being transported back to Colorado and attacked Deputy James. I shudder to think that that was probably the last thing that Gannon saw before he died. You have shown no remorse throughout this process. Instead, you've made a choice to build a web of lies. When you gave an interview to Detective Jessica Bethel on January 29 of 2020, you lied to her about Gannon running away and that he was actually taken by a guy named Eduardo. When you explained that to Detective Bethel, you said you needed to lie because you didn't want to face the consequences. You told her that you were trying to come up with a plan about what you should do. And finally, you told her you really thought you could fix this. I think that's true. You lied because you didn't want to face the consequences. You needed to come up with a plan to fix this, and that plan involved covering up what you had done. It involved lie upon lie. But you slipped up at various points and let kernels of truth escape. In one conversation with Mr. Stout, you told him the FBI needed to close the borders of Colorado, needed to close I-95. I-95 doesn't go through Colorado. It's an interstate that runs along the entire eastern seaboard. It's also not far from where you dumped Gannon's body. When questioned by Detective Bethel, you told her that Mr. Stout might also make up some kind of story about you coming at him with a knife. You said you would never use a knife like that. Yet Gannon was stabbed 18 times. Your actions in this case also show a very conscious attempt to avoid responsibility in this case. You started out with the story that Gannon had run away. You gave some hints that it might be related to bath salts or drug use by Gannon. You stayed with that story until you were called into EPSO for an interview. You knew they weren't going to buy the story that Gannon ran away. Then you came up with the abduction. And you stayed with some iteration of that for a long time. But all of those versions had one thing in common. You were always the victim. In one, you're beaten and raped and Gannon was abducted. In one, someone stole Gannon out of a truck in the parking lot. In another, you let someone drive Gannon to a hospital to take care of a head injury that he had after falling off a bike. In all of them, you could claim it wasn't your fault. You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then you got arrested. You stuck to the story that it was someone else that took Gannon. During the hours that you spoke with Special Agent Grusing, he told you he thought sometimes good people do bad things and sometimes it's an accident. Then they found Gannon's body. Then you saw the mountain of evidence against you. And this is a mountain the size of Everest. What was your position after that? Well, it was an accident. And you, Leticia, didn't even do it. It was Maria Sanchez. You carefully crafted your new story to continue to avoid responsibility. It also allowed you to take advantage of the out that Mr. Grusing and Mr. Stout suggested much, much earlier when they asked you if this was an accident. Now it was an accident. Your Maria Sanchez personality shot Gannon by mistake because she thought he was an intruder in a cape. Multiple personalities is not credible in this setting, as regardless of how many personalities you have, you only have one body. I have presided over cases where a mental disease or defect prevented a defendant from remembering the course of events, including the commission of the crime. Without exception, those defendants have been terrified when contacted by law enforcement because there was a period of time in their lives that they could not account for. Their body may have sustained an injury, and they don't know how it happened. They may have some new object in their house or on their person, and they have no idea where they got it from. We all have free will, and we all make choices based on that free will. The people who suffer from the mental disorder you claim are terrified because their free will has been taken from them, and they are being subjected to things and experiences they don't understand and don't have any recollection of. You didn't behave anything like that. One of the purposes is to impose an appropriate sentence for the criminal conduct that occurred. Another purpose is to punish an offender by imposing a sentence that takes into account the seriousness of the offense. Yet another purpose of sentencing is to prevent crime and promote respect for the law by providing an effective deterrent to others likely to commit a similar offense. Anyone who's been in my courtroom before knows that I've said sentencings are the most difficult thing that I do. That's especially true in cases where someone has lost his or her life. Nothing I or the law can do will ever bring that person back. I have handled hundreds, if not thousands, of criminal cases over the years. I think at this point in my career, I've presided over something like 200 jury trials. I've sentenced hundreds more defendants pursuant to plea agreements. This is not the first murder case that has come before me. This is not the first case I have presided over which involves harm to a child. This is not the first case I have had where a person who was in an unhappy marriage committed a crime. Sadly, statistically, there is a high correlation between violent acts, including murders, and family members. I have had a number of cases which have demonstrated one person's capacity for cruelty toward another human being. I can, however, say without hesitation that the facts in this case are the most horrific I have ever seen. Your conduct in this case deserves the maximum punishment that I can impose under Colorado law. As such, with respect to the charge of first-degree murder after deliberation, I remand you to the custody of the Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. With respect to the charge of murder in the first degree of a child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, I remand you to the custody of the Colorado Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life with no possibility of parole. Those two sentences will merge. If you have questions about that, you can ask your attorneys. With respect to the charge of tampering with a deceased human body, I'm also going to sentence you to 12 years, followed by a 3-year period of parole. That sentence is to be consecutive to the life sentences that I've already imposed. With respect to tampering with physical evidence, I'm going to impose an 18-month sentence. That sentence is also consecutive to the sentences for the murder charges that I have imposed. I also understand, with the consent of the prosecution, and I'm assuming no objection from the defense, that I will dismiss all the charges in 20 CR 3170, close that out subject to restitution, give the people 49 days for restitution, 14 days for response, and if there's an issue, we will set it within the 90 days, from. I think that resolves all outstanding matters. Is there anything else that the prosecution wishes for me to address?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Defense? Court will be in recess.